Ghostly tales, yet mirrors of human life. Hey everyone! Welcome to Encountering Chinese, Ghostly Tales from Zhai. Today, I'm going to tell you a story called Yadu. In Dongcheng Prefecture, there was a scholar named Wang Wen who had been sincere and kind-hearted since childhood. Once, he traveled to the region of Chu and stopped to rest at an inn in Liuhe County. In the evening, while strolling leisurely outside, he encountered his fellow townsman Zhao Donglo. Zhao Donglo was a successful merchant who seldom returned home, spending years away on business. Seeing Wang Wen, Zhao Donglo grasped his hand with great joy and invited him to visit his lodging. They arrived at Zhao Donglo's place, where they saw a beautiful woman sitting inside. Wang Wen was astonished upon seeing the woman and hesitated to enter. Zhao Donglo grabbed Wang Wen and, through the window, called out, "Nizi, go away." Only then did Wang Wen enter the room. Zhao Donglo then prepared a meal with wine, and the two began to chat. Wang Wen asked, "What is this place?" Zhao Donglo replied, "This is a small brothel. Since I have been away from home for a long time, I am temporarily staying here." As they conversed, Nizi frequently entered and exited the room, making Wang Wen feel uneasy. He got up, intending to leave, but Zhao Donglo reluctantly pulled him back to his seat. One moment, a young girl passed by outside the door. Upon catching sight of Wang Wen, she paused and gazed at him with affectionate eyes. The girl's appearance was beautiful, her demeanor elegant, resembling a celestial being. Wang Wen, known for his upright and virtuous character, found himself captivated at this moment and asked, "Who is that beautiful girl?" Zhao Donglo replied, "She is the second daughter of an elderly lady, nicknamed Yadu, who is 14 years old this year. Because of her beauty, guests have repeatedly tempted the elderly lady with large sums of money, but Yadu adamantly refused to entertain them, resulting in frequent beatings from the elderly lady. Yadu pleaded bitterly on account of her youth to avoid entertaining guests, which spared her, and now she is still waiting to be married." After hearing this, Wang Wen fell silent, sitting in a daze, his words becoming disjointed. Zhao Donglo teased Wang Wen, saying, "If you are interested, I'll play matchmaker for you, how about that?" Wang Wen, bewildered, replied, "I dare not entertain such a thought." However, even as night fell, Wang Wen remained silent about leaving. Zhao Donglo joked about arranging a match again, to which Wang Wen said, "I am very grateful for your kindness, but I am currently short of funds, and I fear I may not meet the expectations of the elderly lady." Zhao Donglo, knowing Yadu's strong-willed nature, deliberately promised to provide 10 taels of silver to help Wang Wen. After expressing his gratitude, Wang Wen quickly left and soon returned to the brothel with all his money, which amounted to only 5 taels. He insisted that Zhao Donglo hand it over to the elderly lady. True to expectations, the elderly lady found the amount insufficient. Yadu said to her mother, "Mother, you always blame me for not being your cash cow. Well, today I shall fulfill your wish. I am just starting to learn how to be human, and I have plenty of time to repay you. Don't let this guest go just because he offered a small amount." The elderly lady, knowing Yada's stubbornness, was delighted that she agreed to receive a guest and thus consented. She sent a maid to invite Wang Wen. Feeling sorry for potentially causing a change of heart, Zhao Dongluo added 10 taels of silver and handed it to the elderly lady. Wang Wen and Yadu spent a pleasant night together. Yada said to Wang Wen, "I am merely a prostitute and do not deserve you. But since you truly love me, your affection is most precious. You emptied your pockets just to be with me, but what will you do tomorrow?" Wang Wen, tears streaming down his face, was heartbroken and choked with emotion. Yada said, "Don't be sad. Although I am a prostitute, it's not by choice. I just haven't met someone as sincere and honest as you before. Now that I have found you, let's run away together." Upon hearing this, Wang Wen was overjoyed and quickly got up, with Yada following suit. At this moment, the bell on the city tower had already struck 3 times. Yada hastily changed into men's clothing, and the two hurriedly left the brothel, also opening the door of the inn. When Wang Wen left home, he brought along 2 mules, claiming that he had urgent matters to attend to and instructed his servant to depart immediately. Yada tied talismans on the servant's legs and the mule's ears, then released the reins to let the donkeys gallop. The donkeys ran exceptionally fast, and riding on them, they couldn't even keep their eyes open, only hearing the whistling wind by their ears. By daybreak, they arrived at the Han River and rented a room there. Wang Wen was amazed by Yada's extraordinary abilities. Yada said, "I hope you won't be afraid when I tell you this, but actually, I'm not human, I'm a fox. My mother is very greedy, and I suffer abuse from her every day. I've been harboring resentment for a long time. Fortunately, today you saved me from this misery. We've escaped 100 miles away, and I believe my mother won't be able to find us. We should be safe now." Wang Wen felt ashamed and said, "I am incredibly fortunate to have such a beautiful wife as you. But now, besides the walls around us, we have nothing. I fear that you will eventually leave me." Yadu reassured him. "Why worry about that? You can buy some goods and save up for trading. It may not make us wealthy, but it will be enough to live on. You can start by selling the mules to get some capital." Following her advice, Wang Wen opened a small shop in front of their house, and he personally worked alongside his servant, selling wine in the store. Meanwhile, Yada made shawls and embroidered purses at home. They made a profit every day and lived comfortably. Over a year later, they began to gradually hire laborers and maidservants. Wang Wen no longer did physical labor himself, only overseeing and assessing their work. One day, Yada suddenly became sorrowful and distressed, saying, "Tonight, I fear calamity will befall us. What should we do?" Wang Wen asked her for the reason behind her worries, and Yada replied, "My mother has learned of my whereabouts and will surely threaten to force me back. If she sends my sister, I wouldn't worry, but I fear my mother herself coming. As the night wore on, Yada sighed with relief and said, "It's okay, it's my sister who's come." Shortly after, Nizi pushed open the door and walked into the room, greeted by Yada's smiling face. Nizi scolded, "You shameless girl, hiding here after escaping with someone else. Mother sent me to bring you back." She then took out a rope and tied it around Yada's neck. Yada angrily retorted, "What crime have I committed by marrying someone?" Nizi grew even more furious and tore Yada's clothes. At this moment, the maidservants and the old nanny gathered around, and Nizi, frightened, fled the scene. Yada said, "Once my sister returns, mother will surely come herself. Disaster is imminent. We must think of a plan quickly." After discussing as a family, they hastily packed their belongings, preparing to migrate to a distant land. Suddenly, an old lady burst in, angrily confronting Yadu. "I knew you were a disrespectful girl, so I came myself." Yada cried sorrowfully and knelt down to welcome her mother, but the old lady wasted no time, grabbing Yada by the hair and dragging her out. Meanwhile, Wang Wen could only stand by, restless and grief-stricken, neglecting his sleep and meals. He once again rushed to Liuhe, hoping to redeem Yadu. Upon arriving, he found the brothel still standing, but its residents had changed. Inquiring with the locals yielded no information on where the old lady had moved, leaving him saddened and disheartened as he returned. Back home, Wang Wen was too distraught to tend to his shop, so he disbanded his workers and returned to Shandong with his money. Several years later, Wang Wen happened to come to Yendu. While passing by an orphanage, he saw a 7 or 8-year-old child. His servant noticed the striking resemblance between the child and Wang Wen and kept staring at him. Wang Wen asked his servant, "Why are you staring at this child?" The servant replied with a smile, and Wang Wen chuckled as well. Wang Wen observed the child closely and found him to be handsome and robust. Considering he had no son of his own and the child looked so much like him, Wang Wen decided to redeem him. Wang Wen asked the child's name, and the child said his name was Wang Zi. Wang Wen said, "When you were abandoned, you were still in swaddling clothes. How do you know your surname?" Wang Zi replied, "My teacher told me that when I was found, there were words on the clothes covering my chest, which read, Shandong, Wang Wen's son." Wang Wen was extremely shocked and said, "But I am Wang Wen, and I don't have a son." However, he realized that the child must be the son of someone with the same name, which delighted him, and he grew even fonder of Wang Zi. When they returned home, the neighbors didn't inquire much about Wang Zi, assuming he was Wang Wen's son. Over time, Wang Zi grew up to be strong and brave but showed no interest in managing the family's business. Instead, he enjoyed hunting, fighting, and had a penchant for killing, which even Wang Wen couldn't control. Wang Zi claimed to be able to see ghosts and foxes, but no one believed him. Coincidentally, there was a family in the village troubled by a fox spirit, so they asked Wang Zi to investigate. Upon arrival, Wang Zi immediately identified the hiding place of the fox. He called some people to that spot and had them beat it vigorously. Soon, they could hear the fox howling, and some fur and blood were found, after which the family lived peacefully. People began to consider him extraordinary because of this incident. One day, while Wang Wen was strolling in the market, he suddenly encountered Zhao Donglo. Zhao Donglo appeared ragged, emaciated, and with a dark complexion. Surprised, Wang Wen asked where Zhao Donglo had come from. Zhao Donglo, looking miserable, asked him to find a place convenient for a conversation. Wang Wen then brought Zhao Donglo home and instructed his servant to serve wine. Zhao Donglo began. That time, the old lady found Yatu and beat her severely. Their family migrated north, intending to force Yata back into prostitution. Yata vowed to resist, so the old lady imprisoned her. Later, Yata gave birth to a boy, who was abandoned in a remote alley. It's said that the child was later adopted by an orphanage and has grown up by now. That child is your son. Tears streaming down his face, Wang Wen said. By the grace of heaven, that child has returned to my side. So, Wang Wen recounted the story. Then he asked Zhao Donglo, "How did you end up in such a desolate situation?" Sighing, Zhao Donglo replied, "Today I realized that one should not take relationships with prostitutes too seriously. Look at me now, what else can I say?" It turned out that when the old lady's family migrated north, Zhao Donglo sold goods at a low price to follow them. The transportation costs and living expenses along the way were incalculable, resulting in enormous losses for him. Meanwhile, Nizi demanded even more from him. Over the years, he lost countless wealth. Seeing Zhao Donglo depleted of funds, the old lady began to despise him. Nizi also started staying overnight at the homes of wealthy families, often not returning for several nights. Zhao Donglo was furious but helpless. One day, when the old lady was out, Yata stopped Zhao Donglo under the window and said, "There is no love in the brothel, only a desire for money. If you still linger here, it will bring great disaster." Zhao Donglo, terrified by her words, felt as if he had awakened from a dream. Before leaving, Zhao Donglo secretly went to see Yatu. Yatu handed him a letter to be delivered to Wang Wen. Upon returning to his hometown, Zhao Donglo recounted these events to Wang Wen and then presented Yata's letter. The letter read, "I know that Wang Zi has already reached your side. The hardships I have endured, Mr. Zhao will naturally inform you about. These are all karmic debts from past lives, how can they be easily explained? I am locked in a dark room, living a life devoid of light. The whip has torn my skin, and hunger burns like fire. Enduring every morning and evening feels like enduring a whole year. If you haven't forgotten the scene where we embraced each other for warmth in the thin blanket on the snowy night at the Han River, you should consult with our son. He can surely help me overcome this hardship. Although my mother and sister are cruel, they are still my close relatives. Just instruct our son not to harm them, and that will be my wish." Wang Wen, upon reading the letter, couldn't help but shed tears. He gave Zhao Donglo some money, and Zhao Donglo bid farewell and left. At this time, Wang Zi was already 18 years old. Wang Wen told him the whole story and showed him his mother's letter. Wang Zi's eyes widened with anger. That very day, he rushed to the capital and learned the whereabouts of the old lady Wu's residence. However, he found her doorstep crowded with carriages and horses. Wang Zi barged directly into the house. Nizi was entertaining guests with wine when she saw Wang Zi. She stood up in shock, her face turning pale. Wang Zi swiftly approached and killed Nizi. The guests were extremely frightened, thinking it was a robbery. When they went to see Nizi's body, they found it had turned into a fox. Wang Zi, still holding his knife, stormed inside and saw the old lady Wu supervising the maids preparing food. As Wang Zi approached, the old lady Wu suddenly disappeared. Wang Zi looked around frantically, then quickly drew his arrow and shot towards the ceiling. A fox, struck in the heart, fell down. Wang Zi then chopped off its head. Wang Zi found the place where his mother was imprisoned, smashed the lock with a stone, and mother and son reunited in tears. Yada asked where the old lady Wu was now, to which Wang Zi replied, "I have killed her." His mother blamed him, saying, "Why didn't you listen to me?" Helpless, Yada asked her son to bury the two foxes outside the city. Wang Zi pretended to agree but secretly kept the fox skins. He also checked the old lady Wu's chest and took all the money before helping his mother back home. Wang Wen and his wife were reunited, their emotions mixed. Later, when Yada asked about the old lady Wu again, Wang Zi said, "In my bag." The couple was astonished and asked what he meant. Wang Zi produced the two fox skins and offered them to his parents. His mother was furious, scolding him. "You disobedient child, how could you do this?" She then cried out in anguish, hitting herself and rolling around, saying she wanted to die. Wang Wen tried his best to comfort her and sternly ordered Wang Zi to bury the fox skins immediately. Angered, Wang Zi retorted, "Now that mother has found peace, she immediately forgets the beatings." His mother, even more enraged, continued to cry incessantly. After Wang Zi buried the fox skins and reported back, his mother gradually calmed down. Since Yada's return, Wang Wen's family fortunes have been increasingly prosperous. Wang Wen felt grateful to Zhao Donglo and used a lot of money to repay him. Zhao Donglo then learned that the old lady Wu and her daughter were foxes. Wang Zi served his parents very filially, but if anyone accidentally offended him, he would roar and shout angrily. Yada said to Wang Wen, "This child is stubborn. If we don't get rid of it, sooner or later, there will be fatalities. By then, even if we exhaust all our resources, we won't be able to save him." One night, after Wang Zi fell asleep, Yada secretly tied up his hands and feet. When Wang Zi woke up, he said to his mother, "I'm innocent. Why are you tying me up?" Yada said, "I'm going to cure your violence." Don't be afraid of pain." Wang Zi shouted loudly, tossing and turning, but couldn't break free. Yatta used a large needle to deeply pierce 3 or 4 points beside Wang Zi's ankle bone. Then with a knife, she severed the tendons that contributed to his violent personality. After she had severed these tendons, she untied Wang Zi and gently patted him to sleep peacefully. When daylight came, Wang Zi ran to see his parents, tears streaming down his face as he said, "Last night, I remembered what I did in the past and felt extremely guilty." His parents were overjoyed to hear this. From then on, Wang Zi's temperament became gentle, and the neighbors all praised him highly. At the end of the story, the author provides the following commentary. People often liken prostitutes to foxes, but who would have thought that foxes could also become prostitutes? As for that old woman, she was originally a fox, so what's so surprising about her committing acts that disrupt human relations? As for Yatu, she endured countless hardships and setbacks but maintained her faith. Perhaps even humans would find it difficult to do so, but unexpectedly, she, as a fox, achieved it. Emperor Taizong of Tang once said that Wei Zheng, as a minister, appeared even more admirable because of his upright character. I would say the same about Yadu. Alright. That's all for today's ghostly tale. Yadu. If you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. Please also encourage everyone to comment and share more. We'll see you in the next episode.